Heartwarming transformation, how a mocked black woman mechanic shocked everyone with a 100K Eng. In a town where whispers traveled faster than cars speeding down the highway, Celeste Wilson stood out like a shining diamond in a field of dirt. She was used to the stares, the ridicule, and the jabs at her mechanic shop, the one run by that black woman. With grease-stained fingers and determination in her heart, she worked day in and day out, fixing cars that most wouldn't dare touch. Little did they know, behind that sturdy exterior lay a spark that would soon ignite a scandal that would shake this sleepy town to its core. It was a brisk autumn morning when Celeste first caught a break. A sleek, gleaming vintage Mustang rolled into her garage, its cherry-red paint glistening under the sunlight. The hum of the engine suggested power, but it was the stranger behind the wheel that caught her attention. Gray suit, aviator shades, and an air of mystery that made the townsfolk uneasy. As he stepped out, a chill ran through the air. Who was this man? And why was he here? As days went by, curiosity grew. What was Celeste doing with a man like him? The whispers grew louder, now swirling around the mechanic shop like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. Then, without warning, word dropped that this mysterious stranger was a high-profile automotive engineer, known for his work with elite racing teams. He saw something in Celeste that nobody else did, his eyes gleaming with admiration as she fixed the car with her expertise. But it wasn't just skill, it was the passion she poured into every repair that stole his attention. The townspeople watched with bated breath, their mouths agape in shock. Could this woman, who had been the butt of so many jokes, truly be on the precipice of something monumental? As the days turned into weeks, rumors of a partnership began to swirl. Whispers of a lucrative deal, worth over $100,000, reached the ears of those too eager to judge. Some laughed, others sneered, while a few felt tinges of jealousy. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But just when it seemed like Celeste would rise from the ashes of mockery, dark clouds began to hover ominously. A local journalist caught wind of the story, determined to uncover the truth behind this unlikely partnership. With a sly smirk and an ink-stained notebook, she shadowed Celeste, waiting to pounce on any misstep. What secrets could she uncover? And more importantly, would Celeste be ready to face the storm brewing just out of sight? The stakes were rising, and so was the tension in the air. The town held its breath, teetering on the edge of uncertainty, waiting for the next surprising twist in this heartwarming transformation. What would happen next? The answer loomed closer, hanging like a tightly wound coil ready to snap. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting elongated shadows that danced menacingly around Celeste's garage. The gentle hum of the Mustang still echoed in her mind. What did it mean? Almost as if the car whispered secrets of a future unknown. The wrench in her hand felt heavy, each turn as deliberate as her thoughts. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were watching her. Meanwhile, the journalist, Kendra Blake, loomed just outside the tired chain-link fence, her camera poised like a vulture waiting for its next meal. Kendra was not here by chance, she was hungry for a story, and Celeste was just the morsel she needed to revive her career. She thought about the headlines that would haunt Celeste's reputation if Kendra could unearth some dirt. Would it be enough to finally shove that mechanic woman back into the shadows? The days dragged on, but tension was building like an impending storm. Celeste remained oblivious to Kendra's growing obsession. She put her heart into the Mustang, its chrome accents like jewels under her skilled hands. With each brush of her wrench, the noise of mockery faded further away, leaving only the soothing rhythm of metal meeting metal, but Kendra wouldn't let pressure off. She had approached Celeste's shop under the guise of curiosity, daring to ask ignorant questions, all while probing for any sign of weakness. On one particular afternoon, with the roaring engine behind her, Kendra approached with feigned friendliness. "So, does it feel odd? Working with someone like him?" Her words dripped with malice disguised as concern. Celeste paused, grinding her teeth as she felt her blood boil. "Someone like him?" she echoed, her voice low. "Or someone like me? You've barely even spoken to me." Kendra waved her off dismissively, a flicker of triumph in her eyes. Celeste turned back to the car, reminding herself not to give in to the temptation to snap. She was stronger than that. As night enveloped the town, Kendra's efforts intensified. The journalist pored over social media, looking for any slip from Celeste. Likes, shares, comments, each posted image scrutinized until she struck gold. A photo where Celeste laughed brightly, arms around the engineer, like friends born from the embers of lifelong struggle. It encapsulated everything the townsfolk were whispering about. Could she be the one to take him down? Justice or revenge? Kendra couldn't tell. All she knew was that the shock would reignite her dampened career like a match to kindling. With her story readied for launch, Kendra sensed victory. That was the moment she noticed the unexpected late-night visitor pulling into Celeste's garage. A sleek black SUV crept in, its tires whispering against the gravel. The lights flickered on, revealing not just the engineer but an unfamiliar figure beside him. Who was this person who had the power to shatter everything Celeste was building? Kendra leaned closer, heart racing. This was it, this was the moment that could turn everything upside down. In the flickering overhead light, Celeste felt a change in the atmosphere, a tense weight that suffocated the twilight. Was there more to this meeting than just business? As the door swung open, a sound cut through the night air, a single gunshot echoing in the distance. Everyone froze. Kendra's mind raced. Had she just uncovered something more than a simple partnership? The tension crackled, the night had morphed into chaos. What secret lay at the heart of that unexpected guest? The stakes were higher than ever, and in this instant, a question lingered like smoke in the air: who would survive the fallout? The air thickened with uncertainty as the sound of the gunshot reverberated through the garage. Celeste stiffened, her heart thumping painfully against her chest. She dropped the wrench, the metal clanking ominously against the concrete floor. The engineer shot her a panicked look, his face paling beneath the garish lights. "Did you hear that?" he stammered, glancing around as if the shadows might conceal the source. But Celeste already knew why that sound sent a chill down her spine. It wasn't just a gunshot, it was a warning shot, a hint of the chaos that lay just beyond the threshold of her quiet shop. Kendra's breath caught in her throat. She had been so close to the scoop she'd only dreamed of. Now, it seemed, reality had thrown her a grenade instead. The journalist's heart raced, she crouched behind the fence, trying to make sense of the scene unfolding before her. Was this the moment that would change everything, or merely the tip of the iceberg plunging deeper into darkness? Inside the garage, the conversation shifted. The unfamiliar figure, a tall man with a scar running down his brow, stepped out of the SUV. "We have to go. Now," he barked, his voice low and urgent as he dragged the engineer aside. "Go? Go where?" Celeste's mind was racing, piecing together the fragments of what she'd just witnessed. She struggled to find her voice in the overwhelming tide of fear. The engine of the Mustang suddenly seemed irrelevant, her gut twisted at the thought of real danger lurking behind smiles and deals made in the light of day. "Stay back, Celeste," the engineer warned, positioning himself protectively between her and the newcomers. "This isn't what it looks like." But as Kendra peered through the fence, every muscle in her body tensed. She suddenly realized the stakes had escalated far beyond her wildest expectations for a scoop. She wasn't just hunting for a story, she was witnessing a scene straight out of a thriller. The tension was palpable, electric, each second stretching into an eternity. As they waited for the next move, dark figures appeared along the perimeter of the property, blocking any escape routes. The glint of metal caught Kendra's eye, and panic surged within her. Were they here for revenge? Had Celeste unwittingly stepped into a world of danger, leaving Kendra grappling with a journalistic dilemma of epic proportions? As the engineer began to speak in hurried whispers to the man with the scar, Celeste felt the walls closing in, the realization settling like lead. She had always been the one with control over the mechanical chaos around her, but this was a different beast entirely. What kind of trouble had she truly stumbled upon? Kendra's fingers twitched against her camera, the instinct to capture the unfolding drama at war with the desire to run. The shadows of her ambitions and conscience wrestled savagely. Then came the voice of the newcomer, low and threatening. No more games. Hand him over, and no one gets hurt. The words hung heavily in the air, wrapping around Celeste like chains. She felt her breath quicken, her body screaming to fight or flee. Suddenly, everything she thought she knew about her life and the simple joy of turning wrenches was burning in the fire of this new reality. As Kendra peered closer, she caught a fleeting glimpse of the fear etched into Celeste's face. Should she intervene? Would it cost someone their life if she did? In this moment of decision, the stakes transformed. What line would Kendra cross for a story? And what were the consequences of diving deeper? Celeste's world was on the line, and so much more than a career was at risk. When the first scream pierced the night, everything shattered. What would Celeste do when her hand had to grip much more than a wrench? Celeste's heart raced, pulsing in her ears as the scream echoed through the garage, sharp and terrified. The world around her blurred, the lights flickering as if unsure of their purpose. She had felt fear before, the fear of failing, of losing control, but this was an all-consuming dread that snuffed out her breath. The engineer's eyes darted, searching for an escape. "We can't stay here," he urged, desperation thickening his voice. Those dark figures outside moved closer, their intentions unspoken but clear. Celeste's chest tightened as she backed away, fate colliding with reality. Kendra's camera felt heavy as she clutched it, the weight of potential death outweighing the thrill of capturing the raw story unfolding before her. "Listen to me." The scarred man spat out the words. "This isn't just about you." He raked a hand through his hair, frustration boiling. "You have no idea what you're involved in. Hand him over, and we'll all walk away. It's that simple." The engineer shook his head, pulling Celeste behind him, acting as both shield and barrier against the instinct to flee. "No. I'm not going to let you take him." It was a spiraling spiral of madness. The growl of engines roared outside, and in that moment, Celeste felt the walls of the garage close in, hotter and tighter. Kendra watched with bated breath as everything held in suspension. She looked into Celeste's wide eyes, feeling the pull, the urge to act. But could she? What was a scoop worth if it cost lives? In this game of cat and mouse, could she be the savior? Suddenly, the engineer said something to the man. The words, hushed and urgent, traveled just out of Kendra's earshot. But the tension felt like a tight coil about to snap. The dark figures began to move closer, one pulling out a weapon, gleaming menacingly in the harsh bright lights of the garage. "Stop!" Celeste screamed, shaking off all hesitation. Without thinking, she grabbed a wrench from the floor, its steel cold against her palm, and stepped forward, defiance flooding her veins. "You don't need to do this." Her voice broke through the noise like a lighthouse in a fog. The scarred man's eyes narrowed, caught momentarily off guard by her outburst. His confusion morphed quickly into rage. "Girl, you don't know who you're dealing with." Kendra saw the weight of fear in Celeste, a mix of bravery and terror. It was a rich cocktail of emotions, so raw it sent shivers down her spine. The journalist could feel the narrative shift, her own instincts screaming for her to record every second of this dramatic standoff. "Celeste, no!" the engineer shouted, panic flooding his voice. But she stood firm, fists tight around the wrench, resolved like she'd never been before. This was it. Fight or flight. The tension shifted dangerously, like a tightrope walker dipping too far to one side. The figures outside were closing in, and the space inside felt smaller, suffocating. In the distance, sirens began to wail, an unnatural sound against the backdrop of chaos. The noise surged closer, threatening to drown out everything. Then, another scream erupted, this time from a figure unraveling at the edges. I can't do this anymore. Everyone froze, the chaos momentarily halted. Was it a warning? A betrayal? In that swirl of confusion, Kendra's heart raced even faster. What was about to happen? As the tension hung in the air, pulsing with uncertainty, would fear make them crumble, or would courage turn the tide? With a single glance exchanged, could they really trust each other, or would they all find out too late? Cold dread seeped in like the harsh night air, leaving a terrifying question burning: who would make it out alive when the dust settled? The air crackled with tension, heavy and unyielding. Celeste's grip tightened around the wrench, her knuckles turning white. Silence enveloped the garage, a fragile pause hung over them like a spell. Each heartbeat echoed in their ears, the only sound in the realm of chaos. Are you crazy? The engineer hissed, fear etching deeper lines on his forehead. His eyes darted between Celeste and the encroaching figures. Put it down. We can't risk. Shut up. Celeste snapped back, her voice sharp as a knife. She could feel the heat rising in her cheeks, fury and fear mixing in a volatile cocktail. We can't let them take you. Not now. The scarred man stepped forward, weapon glinting ominously. You think you can protect him? You don't even know what you're up against. His words hung heavy, wrapping around Celeste like a snake, squeezing tighter with each second. But she would not back down. Behind her, Kendra felt adrenaline shoot through her veins. The instinct to document the unfolding drama warred with the urgent need to act. Sirens wailed closer, a harbinger of hope and horror. The noise seemed to provoke the dark figures, their movements jagged and frantic. One of them shouted, "We need to finish this now. They can't call anyone." And suddenly, in that swirling chaos of decisions and fear, something cracked. The figure who had screamed before, anxious and poisoned by dread, dropped to his knees, hands balled into fists. No more. I just can't. His breakdown was unexpected, a tangled web of desperation that caught Celeste off guard. Was this betrayal? Or a moment of liberation? Get him up. The scarred man shouted, panic injecting venom into his voice. He's gonna ruin everything. Kendra saw the flash of fear in Celeste's eyes, shifting questions that danced like sparkles of light. Who was this man on his knees? Was he a pawn, or was he just as entrapped in this deadly game as they were? In a heartbeat, the crouched figure looked up, eyes wild with panic and desperation. I'm sorry. His voice broke like dry twigs snapping underfoot. And in that raw moment, something shifted within Celeste. Why are you doing this? She called out, her voice almost softer now, steel underneath the fear. You don't have to. You can just walk away. A brief silence warred with the advancing danger. The man's gaze faltered, the steady thud of sirens battled with the pulse of her courage. Behind him, the scarred man took a step forward, threatening. You're going to regret this. Shoot me, you coward. Celeste's voice came out like thunder, but inside her, hope flickered amid the chaos. She didn't just want to save the engineer, she wanted to save that man too. Celeste. The engineer's voice cracked like glass, and she sensed the immediate urgency. What had she done? The scarred man laughed bitterly, dark and cold. You really think this is a game? Run now, or I swear, this will end badly for all of you. All eyes were fixed on her now. Horror, promise, and unyielding fear turned into a tangible, suffocating thing. Kendra felt the pull to act, her camera slipping from her fingers like a faded memory. The garage felt claustrophobic, sweltering with unspent energy, but just as everything seemed irreversible, a distant popping noise shattered the tension. It wasn't gunfire, was it? With one last glance exchanged, Celeste knew, this was no longer just about survival. It was about choices. Would they face the darkness together or remain entangled in the webs of despair spun around them? What was that? Someone whispered, the words soaked in fear. The sound grew closer, louder. It filled the space like an uninvited guest, crackling, urgent. The figures exchanged stares, uncertainty tugging at their resolve. And in that moment, with realization hitting them hard, Celeste whispered, "We have to make our move, and now." What awaited them in the shadows? Would they fight back, or would impending doom claim them all? The echo of the distant popping noise morphed into something unmistakably real. Celeste's heart raced, each beat drumming a warning into her chest. The garage, once a sanctuary of metal and grease, felt like the tight grip of a noose. Shadows danced in the flickering fluorescent lights, blending fear with urgency. "Celeste, what is happening?" Kendra's voice trembled, desperately searching for answers. "Just hold on," Celeste breathed, her voice barely a whisper as she searched the faces surrounding her, hunting for courage. Time had become a thick fog that distorted reality. Each second threaded tightly as if it could snap at any moment. The kneeling man's anguish seemed to ripple through the air, thickening the tension. "You don't understand," he exclaimed, terror twisting his features. "We're in too deep. They'll kill us all." A flash of doubt hit Celeste, but behind that doubt, a clearness emerged. "Then let them come. We're not going down without a fight." Her grip on the wrench felt righteous now, a symbol of resistance. The scarred man's eyes glinted with malice as he raised his weapon, fingers twitching. "This is your last chance. Walk away while you can." The air hung still, nearly suffocating. In the distance, sirens rose in a deafening crescendo, and the figures surrounding them shifted, eyeing the door. "They'll find us here." One of the henchmen barked, a tremor in his voice. "We need to go now." The moment stretched, a rubber band pulled too tight, ready to snap at any moment. Suddenly, the popping grew closer, sharp and urgent. "Get ready!" Celeste yelled, adrenaline surging through her veins. "Whatever it is, we can't let them in." Just then, the door burst open and a flood of light spilled into the garage as uniformed police officers charged in, weapons drawn and shouts echoing. "Get down! Everyone on the ground!" The room erupted into chaos. Screams and shouts collided, blending fear with confusion. Celeste dove behind a workbench, the wrench clattering to the floor. Kendra instinctively ducked beside her, gasping as the scene unfolded. The scarred man turned, eyes wild, mouth moving in silent reckoning as he gauged the situation. "We can't be taken alive. Fall back!" he roared, but it was too late. The officers had arrived like lions, fierce and unwavering. A flurry of activity followed, shouting police, the sounds of scuffling feet, and the unmistakable crash of metal against metal as some of the men fought back. The kneeling figure surged to his feet in a panic, darting toward Celeste. "Please! Help me!" She froze, the shock radiating through her. His wild eyes met hers. They were mirrors reflecting the depths of desperation. "I can't stay with them. I can't." But before she could process the plea, the scarred man grabbed him, shoving him forward while bullets flew through the air. The world narrowed, everything existing in that single breath, the terror of the unknown, the weight of choice clinging to her heart. "Stop!" Celeste shouted, the word tearing from her throat as if it was the only thing that could sink through the panic. The noise intensified, bodies colliding, chaos reigning as sirens blared relentlessly. Kendra grabbed Celeste's arm, eyes wide with terror. "What do we do?" Amid the commotion, a single thought pierced through the chaos: fight or flight. This moment could change everything. The kneeling man broke free from the scarred man's grip, stumbling toward Celeste with a frantic look. "Trust me. Please." In that split second, a part of her wanted to run, but a deeper instinct rooted her in place. "I can't let them take anyone," Celeste whispered, resolute. "What do we do?" Kendra echoed, but all Celeste could see was the flash of fear in the man's eyes. This wasn't just about them anymore, they were all entangled in a desperate web. The air thickened with palpable tension, each moment ticking by, each choice carrying the weight of their future. And then, as she pushed forward, Celeste knew. "We're getting out of here, together. No one gets left behind." But would they escape this madness, or was it too late? The shadows loomed, ready to claim them all. The sound of chaos was deafening, waves of panic crashing against Celeste's ears as she tried to process the chaos unfolding around her. The officer's commands blended together with screams and the unmistakable sharpness of gunfire. Each shout sent a fresh jolt of adrenaline through her veins, urging her into action. "Celeste, do something!" Kendra shouted, pulling at her arm, eyes wide with fear. The urgency in Kendra's voice snapped her back, igniting something deep within her. This wasn't just a fight for survival, it was a fight for their lives. "Get down!" Celeste yelled back, bumping Kendra as she positioned herself closer to the sobbing man. She felt the heat of the situation bore down on her, and it made her pulse quicken. The kneeling man, he looked younger now, fear carving the lines of his face. "If I go back to them," he stammered, his voice quaking, I know." Celeste interrupted, glancing around for any chance, any opening. "But we can't let them take you. Not now." Just then, a loud bang reverberated through the cramped space. Celeste's heart lurched as one of the officers fell to the ground. "Get cover!" shouted a commanding voice. Her instincts screamed for her to move, but she couldn't abandon him. "Stay close to me," she whispered fiercely to the man. "You'll be okay." The air was thick with smell sweat mixed with gunpowder, creating a palpable sense of dread. Celeste squinted through the haze, searching for an escape route. If they could just get to the other side of the garage. Across the chaos, she caught a glimpse of the scarred man gathering his henchmen, a fierce determination radiating from him. "We're not done yet," he barked. His eyes darted around, searching for an advantage. Celeste shivered, there was a wildness to him that sent a chill right through her. The kneeling man gripped her arm, his palms clammy and cold. "I can't go back, I won." Before Celeste could reassure him, a shot rang out, ricocheting off the metal walls. Kendra shrieked, ducking lower. "Time to go!" Celeste shouted, grabbing the man's wrist. "Now, follow me." They took off, weaving through the labyrinth of the garage. The tail end of the fight felt like it was closing in, shadows flickering in her peripheral vision as they dodged behind old tools and abandoned cars. The chaos followed them, but Celeste knew she had to stay focused. Kendra was right behind her, determination igniting their strides. "Over there." Kendra pointed to an exit leading to a narrow alley. Breathless, they rushed toward the fluorescent light spilling through the cracks. Freedom was just a few feet away. Celeste could almost taste it. Then, without warning, the scarred man emerged from the shadows, blocking their path. "You're not going anywhere." His weapon glinted menacingly in the light, eyes burning with desperation. Celeste Kendra's voice trembled as they both halted, the reality weighing them down like lead. But before they could react, a loud bang echoed like thunder, a shot fired from behind them. A brief silence fell, broken only by murmurs from the officers still engaged in the fight. "Run!" Celeste shouted, pushing past panic and seizing the moment. Could they make it? She felt a rush of hope as she tugged the man forward. Everything hung in the balance, a heartbeat, a choice. As they surged toward the exit, a flash of blue and red lights illuminated the distant alley, more sirens closing in. "We need to make it," Celeste urged with every ounce of strength she had, but behind them, the scarred man's roar cut through the air. "Stop! You can't!" And then the world fell into a blur as they dove into the alley, breaths ragged, and fear screaming in their heads. But as she glanced back, Celeste felt a chilling realization settle over her: this wasn't just a flight from danger. Something darker hunted them, shadows lingering even in fleeting moments of escape. Would they find safety around the next corner, or had they only stepped deeper into the abyss? The weight of the unknown hung heavily, tightening around them as they fled into the night. The alley was narrow, the walls closing in like a trap, but Celeste propelled herself forward. The pounding of her heart matched the frantic echo of footsteps behind her. She focused on the light at the end, a hope shimmering through the darkness. Faster! Kendra screamed, her breath sharp and short. Celeste squeezed the man's hand tighter, pulling him along. An explosion of sound rang out behind them. The scarred man was gaining ground. The thought sent a chill down her spine. We can't stop. Just a little further. They dashed toward the end of the alley, where a street opened into the chaos outside a bustling city, unaware of the turmoil they had just endured. Celeste skidded to a halt at the entrance, heart racing. The night air was full of distant sirens and muffled voices, confusion and terror dancing in her head. Which way? She panted, scanning the street. A sea of people flowed past them, seemingly oblivious to their plight. Left. Kendra pointed frantically. Into the crowd. Celeste nodded, urgency driving her as they plunged into the mass of people. Their adrenaline-fueled escape blended into the city's chaotic pace, but their breaths remained shallow, the threat still looming behind them. Suddenly, she felt a tug on her arm. It was the young man. You don't understand, he gasped. I can't be seen by anyone before they find you. She urged, panic twisting in her stomach. You don't have to go back. The man's voice trembled as desperation washed over him. It was my choice. I was in too deep. I can't trust anyone. Celeste's heart sank. She understood the weight of those words. How many times had she felt the same? Feeling trapped by choices she hadn't made but had to live with. Listen to me, she insisted, we will figure this out together. You don't have to face this alone. Before he could respond, shouting erupted behind them. The scarred man had emerged from the shadows, yelling for them. The crowd parted as people turned to look, their faces a mix of confusion and fear. Run! Kendra screamed again, pushing through the throng. Celeste grabbed the man's hand, their fingers entwining in fear and resolve, and they followed Kendra, weaving through startled onlookers. They rounded a corner and entered a narrow side street, the sounds of the crowd fading slightly. The faint glow of neon lights flickered in the damp air, but the threat was still hunting them. Celeste leaned against the cool brick wall, gasping for breath. What now? The man shook his head, his eyes darting. They won't stop until they find me. You have to leave me behind. No. Celeste protested, her voice fierce. We're in this together. Celeste, think about it. You don't even know who I am. Then tell me. She shouted, grasping his shoulders, her fear morphing into something fiery. All I know is that we can't leave you to them. He hesitated, vulnerability flickering in his dark eyes. I'm not just running from them, I'm running from what I've done. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. She felt the weight of her own secrets, her own battles. This could be a turning point. Help me understand. Help us. Before he could answer, another shout broke through the night, louder this time, and panic twisted her insides again. Was there still time? Let us not waste this moment, Kendra interjected, eyes wild with urgency. We need to move before they find us. Realization hit Celeste like a ton of bricks. The only way through this was to confront his truth, but what if it changed everything? They turned to run again, a dark specter trailing close behind, a relentless reminder that freedom might just be an illusion. As they dashed deeper into the maze of the city, the truth loomed ahead, waiting in the shadows. Would it bind them closer together, or tear them apart? The question lingered as they fled into the unknown. Kendra's breath came in gasps, and Celeste felt the weight of the moment pressing down hard. They sprinted forward, the fear driving them deeper into the chaotic embrace of the night. A sudden flash of lights danced against the asphalt, causing Celeste's heart to leap. Was it the men chasing them? "Keep going!" Kendra shouted, her face a mask of determination. They ducked into another alley, jagged bricks cutting into their palms as they braced themselves against the wall. The man's eyes glimmered, reflecting the desperation that loomed between them. "Do you really want to know?" he whispered, his voice tremulous. "What I've done?" "Yes," Celeste urged, her heart pounding louder than the sirens echoing in the distance. "Please, we need to understand." He looked at Kendra, then back at Celeste, uncertainty curling at the edges of his resolve. "I was part of something terrible." Another shout erupted from the street. They were closing in. Celeste pushed the urgency, feeling time slip away like sand through her fingers. "Tell us. What did you do?" His expression shifted like shadows shifting through the cracks of the alley. "I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt. I thought I was helping." Fury and fear coiled tightly in Celeste's chest. "Helping? By doing what? Running bad decisions? I was involved in trafficking people." Her entire world narrowed. The angry heartbeat of the city fell silent for a moment as the weight of his revelation hit her. She blinked, grappling with disbelief. You help traffic people? But you're here. You're not one of them." "That's what I thought. I thought I could exit when I was ready, but things went horribly wrong." His eyes darkened. "They found out I had no intention of following orders anymore. They won't stop." The shadows crept closer, curling around them like smoke, even as a flicker of understanding sparked in Celeste's mind. "We can help you, but you need to tell us what's next." "Who's chasing us?" "There's a buyer. A dangerous player on the east side of the city. They want me back. They've closed in on me." Kendra's voice cut through like steel. "Then we need to get out of here and warn the authorities. They can help." But the man shook his head, fear washing over his face. "You don't get it. They're everywhere. They have to think I'm dead or gone, or they will use you to get to me." "Then what do we do?" Celeste grappled for solutions, guilt gnawing at her. "Let's end this together. Just tell us." Suddenly, the shadows at the alley's mouth morphed into figures, their silhouettes sinister against the street lamps. Harsh laughs cut through the night, ice cold. "You thought you could run forever?" a gravelly voice taunted. Kendra grabbed Celeste's arm tight, fear freezing them where they stood. "This is it. What do we do?" Celeste felt the decision hanging heavy. She could flee, pull Kendra and the man along with her, but at what cost? Or could they face this nightmare together, fighting for a salvation that seemed out of reach? The air grew hot with impending chaos. The dark specters moved closer, the night crackling with tension. Celeste felt a surge of defiance rising inside her. "We fight. We stay together." The man looked uncertain, but the determination in Celeste's eyes ignited something within him. Before the looming figures could close in, they surged forward, propelled by the collective conviction of the three. The world around them melted into the blur of terror and resolve. In that moment, somewhere beneath the haunted streets, their true battle began. Could they rewrite destinies written in fear? As they charged toward the figures, a terrifying realization washed over Celeste. They might not just confront an enemy, they could uncover a truth darker than any of them imagined. The night was still trembling from the chaos, the air thick with tension as Celeste, Kendra, and the young man pressed forward into the unknown. The shadows loomed behind them, carrying the weight of betrayal and desperation, but they also held the flicker of hope. "Stay close," Celeste shouted, more to reassure herself than anyone else, as their feet pounded against the cracked pavement. "Do you really think we can take them on?" Kendra gasped, glancing back to see shadows closing in. Each silhouette felt like a thief in the night, hungry and ruthless. "Yes." Celeste's voice rang with conviction, but deep inside, fear gnawed at her resolve. They had to escape. She tugged the young man closer, feeling his energy fade like an old battery. "What's your name?" "Jaden," he whispered, his wide eyes shining with both determination and dread. "If we face them, they'll want to make a statement. I cannot let them put you at risk. Then you're not getting left behind. We will find a way through this." Jaden swallowed hard, the fight flickering in and out of his eyes. "But I don't want to involve you in this mess," he protested weakly. Suddenly, a loud voice shattered the night. "You can't run from us, Jaden. You're not going anywhere." It was the scarred man, a malevolent sparkling in his eyes as he pushed through the shadows, a flicker of hope igniting fear in the darkness surrounding them. "Keep moving," Celeste urged, channeling every ounce of her strength. They sprinted past flickering streetlights, the adrenaline pumping like an engine at full throttle. She could hear Kendra's frantic breaths, feel the urgency echoing between them, the need for survival, for justice, tightening like a vice. But then, Jaden stopped. He turned, facing the advancing darkness. "No. You don't understand. They won't stop until they find you. That's why we need to keep moving." Kendra echoed, despair creeping into her voice. "Please. It's not just about me." Jaden's face was pale as he spoke, his eyes glistened with an urgency that shone bright in the night. "They're hunting for something bigger, something I was a part of, and they won't stop at anything to find it. Then we'll make them stop." Celeste blurted out, adrenaline surging through her. "We'll face them together." She felt a heat rise within her, a fire igniting as she processed their reality. The mechanic shop where she had built her life had prepared her for this moment. She felt empowered, every wrench she had ever turned converging in her very bones. The darkness was shifting around them, menacing figures nearing like wolves closing in on a helpless sheep. But Celeste wasn't going to let their shadows consume her any longer. She stepped forward, hands clenched around an old pipe she had picked up. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice ringing clear like the clang of a bell in the dead of night. "You think you can just take him and walk away?" The scarred man halted, the swagger in his walk faltering for just a moment. "You don't know what you're getting into, girl." A dash of contempt danced in his eyes. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm getting into." Celeste took a step closer, finding a fierce strength within her. "And I'm not backing down." As Jaden stood beside her, a sense of solidarity formed. This wasn't just about running anymore, it was time to take a stand. They were a team now, bound by the shared horror but determined to claim their truth. "Get ready," she whispered to Kendra, fear coiling low in her stomach. "We're making our stand here." Without warning, a shout broke the silence, pulling the shadows forward. "We weren't going to let you get away." The word sliced through the air like a knife, igniting chaos. Celeste tightened her grip, and adrenaline surged as they moved as one. "This way!" she barked, and they darted into a nearby alley, weaving through debris and the grungy walls that felt like a barricade to their freedom. "What's the plan now?" Kendra gasped between breaths, eyes wide as they scurried deeper into the labyrinth of darkness. "We fight." Celeste's voice boomed. The energy was electric, coursing through her veins as time stretched. What if the risk paid off? "We'll take them down. Together." As they reached a dead end, the sound of footsteps echoed behind them, urgency pounding like a war drum. A sudden flicker of light illuminated the alley. "More police. Over here. Help!" Celeste yelled, desperation tugging at her words. Frantic voices from the street were deafening, and her heart raced as the officers noticed them. "Stop right there." came a police command, echoing through the chaos. Jaden's eyes widened, fear clawing back into view as he stepped to the side, an instinct to flee. "No!" Celeste shouted, lunging forward to grab his arm. "We need to tell them everything. They can help us." But the shadowy figures emerged, relentless and knowing. "You think their badges will save you?" The scarred man's laugh cracked through the tension, cold and full of malice. "They're just pawns in this game." In a rush of instinct, Celeste lunged and threw the pipe, aiming perfectly. It struck the scarred man square in the chest, his sneer morphing into shock as he stumbled back. "Run!" Kendra bellowed, and they surged past the looming wall of police as chaos erupted around them. Celeste felt alive in that moment. Adrenaline surged as they pushed through the crowd, screaming, cries for backup and urgency mingling in the air. She snatched Jaden's arm and felt the electric current of possibility swirling in her chest. As they darted through the pressing mass, the scarred man shrieked orders, darkness swirling behind them like malicious clouds pursuing a lost sun. But they wouldn't be lost, not now. They had come too far. They could hear the police closing in, the rush of officers moving to stop the chaos. The night began to brighten, the flickering dimness beginning to fade, and as they burst onto the street, the early morning light poured down, illuminating the city in golden rays. Hope flooded their hearts as they pushed forward, finally escaping the horrid tendrils of despair. "No one gets left behind," Celeste breathed, grounding herself firmly with purpose. "Not now, not ever." As they merged with the officers, she dove deeper into their protection, feeling the weight of the night begin to lift. Jaden looked back for the last time over his shoulder, the shadows dwindling like a bad dream fading with dawn, but underneath it all she would remember. This was a start, a chance to rewrite their stories, to rebuild from the ashes. Together, they stepped into the light, ready for a new beginning. This chapter had closed, but the journey was just starting. With every wrench twisted, every dream fueled by resilience, they would rise. United in purpose, unyielding in resolve, it was the dawn of their transformation. Now, if you've followed every twist, every moment of fear and exhilaration, this is your time. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and make sure we keep bringing you incredible content. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. You need to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see how true courage can ignite hope. Don't wait even one more second to show your support. Let us keep this community alive.